But you have to make a subconscious decision to submit yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not by default, now you just got it made.
I got two things to say about that.
Yeah.
Atheism is actually a conscious decision. It doesn't occur naturally.
Not at all.
No.
You made a good point. We spoke earlier that when a person's up and hits some turbulence in a plane,
yeah, and this is what Allah says in the Quran.
He turns off his atheism.
It just, for those few seconds, oh God, save me.
Yeah.
You know?
Or they say there's no atheists in foxholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so now you have, so that's one thing about atheism. The other thing about atheism is it's actually not rooted, at least from all the atheist friends that I had, it's not rooted in something intellectual. That's the facade. It's actually rooted in something psychological. These people are either traumatized, or they had a really bad experience in life, or they've seen something that they were really emotionally disturbed by. They decided to blame God for it, right? And as part of their reaction against God, you know what? What's the biggest offense I can do? He doesn't even exist, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with questioning God, and then moves on to the ultimate, supposedly offense against God. I don't even think He exists.
So this would be something, like I said earlier, this is weird. Isn't it weird?
It is weird. It is, to me, it's actually a disorder.
Yeah.
And these are disturbed people. If you've come to the conclusion of atheism, first of all, you've made an absolute statement about something you have no idea, right? The agnost is different from the atheist. The agnost at least says, I don't know. Maybe there is a God, maybe there isn't. I don't have a way of knowing. In that, at least there is some acknowledgement of humility that I don't know, right? At least there's that much, and we can work with that somewhat. But the atheist, with explicit, like absolute, certainty, says there's absolutely no way there's a God. And he's absolutely denying something that he can't even see or judge. So basically then he's saying, he or she, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist, right? If I can't see it, it doesn't exist. This is the essence of their intellectual problem, right? They say that the only thing that can be judged is empirical evidence, meaning the five senses, science, this is what exists. That's it. But even then, who decided what the five senses are? Who decided that these are the only sources of knowledge, etc.? No answer. Where does love come from? Where does hate come from? Where does fear come? Emotions. Where does hope and aspiration come from? Oh, they're just chemicals in our body. So they want to reduce the human being even to just a sophisticated animal. And because they've done that, you'll find these different kinds of weird crimes in our society that you never found in history. Like the craziest kinds of things, sickest kinds of things people do when they have no sense of consequence. They have no purpose left in life. There's no one watching over them. There's no one they have to answer for. If they can get away with it, they'll get away with it. And that's the society in which you get these heinous crimes. Like, we're not even talking about murder and stealing and, these are your average Joe crimes. We're talking about just sick, disturbing, I don't understand why anybody would do this kind of thing, kinds of crimes. That's a byproduct of atheism. You've taken hope and purpose away from people, and Allah calls them animals, or even worse. This is the even worse part.
So tell us, maybe there's somebody here that he can relate to what you have to say. He might be somehow covering up that belief in the one God and something that's really rational, and he doesn't want to be weird anymore. How would you invite him and give him some basic dawah, inviting him and to something that's natural? I
could speak from my personal experience. On the one hand, you have to have sincerity, and nobody can put that in you. You have to beg for it. If you kind of even say, if there's a God out there, I need sincerity. I sincerely seek you out. I'm sincerely in search of you.
Ask for the guidance.
Ask for the guidance. The other thing is, beyond that leap, beyond that seeking of guidance, what brought me to absolute conviction after my background in philosophy and this atheist phase and rationalizing everything, that exposure to Quran that I had wasn't just a spiritual experience. It was actually a very powerful intellectual experience for me. Like, every major argument I had against religion or God was answered without me having to ask the question. I was just listening to Quran carefully, and it was like there were a lot of knots in my mind, and it was just undoing them one after another.
The Quran answered all the questions, all the doubts that you had.
All the doubts that I had.
I think that's one problem people have. They might be born in a family of atheists or some other religion, and they use their intellect and they see that this stuff don't make sense. It's weird.
Yeah.
and now they paint everything with the same brush.
This
But
is
Islam
true.
is not that.
Islam